Daddy sits on the front porch swinging, looking out on a vacant field. Used to be filled with burley tobacco, now it knows it never will. Now brothers found work in Indiana, sisters a nurse at the old folks' home. Mama's still cooking way too much for supper, and me have been a long time gone. Yeah, long time gone. I ain't hold a rose since I don't know when. Long time gone, and it ain't coming back again. Now Delia plays that old church piano, sitting out on her daddy's farm. She always thought we'd be together. Lord, I never meant to do her harm. Said she could hear me singing in the choir. Me, I heard another song. I got wind and hit the road running. Lord, I've been a long time gone. A long time gone. Well, I ain't had a prayer since I don't know when. Long time gone, and it ain't coming back again. Me, I went to Nashville trying to be the big deal, playing down on Broadway, getting there the hard way, living from a tip jar, sleeping in my car, hawking my guitar. Yeah, I'm gonna be a star, a big, big star. Now me and Delia sing every Sunday, watching the garden and the children grow. We listen to the radio to hear what's cooking, but the music ain't got no soul. No, they sound tired, but they don't sound haggard. They got money, but they don't have cash. They got Junior, but they don't have Hank. I think the rest is a long time gone. Well, I ain't honked the horn since I don't know when. Long time gone, and it ain't coming back. I said, oh, well, I ain't hit the roof since I don't know when. Long time gone, and it ain't coming back again. Well, a long time gone. It's been a long time gone. Long time gone. It's been a, yeah, long time gone.
Darrell Scott, thanks for coming to the print shop.
My pleasure, Adam.
Man, I have had an absolute blast with you. I've been thinking about this for about 8 months since Sean Mullins came over here. I'd heard some of your music, but he really turned me on to you.
Wow, that's great.
I just dug in really deep, and I'm a massive fan. And you're a sweet, kind soul, and I can tell that from the couple of hours I've spent with you, man.
Thank you, and man, my hat's off to Sean for chatting and talking about me. I didn't even know he does stuff like that exactly, but I hear in the grapevine that he does. He's a cool cat.
You'll never get out of Harlan alive.
Yeah.
It's a story, and I'm assuming most of the story is true.
Yeah, it's absolute verbatim true. I
Yeah.
mean, it's absolutely on top of it. So my great-grandfather was excommunicated from the family, and I always wondered, like, what happened to that guy? Like, I know y'all weren't supposed to talk about it, but I'd like to know. And so I went to Harlan County to look at graves, actually, and also to go into the library where they had microfiche where you could study or go back into records of yesteryear. And about a week later, the song came popping out. Every bit of it is absolutely true. So true that I've had people send me my family tree, the genealogy stuff, based on the details in the song. Like the river, the names, the first names, all that stuff is absolutely, absolutely true, except the last verse. So that's the power we have as songwriters. And the power I took on that song was, you know what? Life dealt my great-grandfather a real shit hand, meaning you're to never to speak his name. You're never to go look did he remarry? Did he do this, that, the other? Cut off. So I made it to where he wasn't so cut off, even though I had to make it up to do that. But I had him go back to the mines, in dignity and sending back the money, and then he just never makes it out. So I made it up. That never actually happened.
So interesting.
But I prefer mine.
I prefer that as well.
One thing I know about this guy, my great-grandfather, he played banjo. And it was like, that's kind of all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
That he was a musician, and maybe I got this music stuff from him. In the deep, dark hills of eastern Kentucky, see, that's the place where I trace my bloodline. And it's there I read on a hillside gravestone, said you will never leave Harlan alive. Well, my granddad's dad walked down Catarines Mountain, and he asked Tilly Hilton to be his bride. Said, won't you walk with me out of the mouth of this holler, or we'll never leave Harlan alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning, and the sun goes down about 3 every day, and you fill your cup with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life just thinking of how to get away. No one ever knew there was coal in the mountains until a man from the northeast arrived. He was waving them $100 bills, and he said, I'll pay you for your minerals. But he never left Harlan alive. Well, Granny, she sold out cheap, and they moved out west of Pineville to a farm where big rich land river winds. And I bet they danced them a jig, and they laughed and sang a new song. Who said we'd never leave Harlan alive. But the times got hard and tobacco wasn't selling, and old Granddad knew what he'd do to survive. Well, he went and dug for Harlan coal and sent the money back to Granny, but he never left Harlan alive. Where the sun comes up about 10 in the morning and the sun goes down about 3 every day, and you fill your cup, go on and fill it up with whatever bitter brew you're drinking, and you spend your life digging coal from the bottom of your grave. See, in the deep dark hills of eastern Kentucky, see, that's the place where I trace my bloodline. And it's there I read on a hillside gravestone, said you will never leave Harlan alive.
I want to talk a little bit about where you got started. And I know you've been interviewed 1,000 times and asked this, but you started playing guitar chord, and you said you learned this when you were about 4 or 5 years old. So obviously, music's been in your life for a long time. I know your dad was a musician. Can you kind of tell me?
Yeah, I came up in a family band. My dad was, loved country music. So it was, if you were in the cab of the truck with him, it's country music.
Right.
Nothing else. And then we also went to church, so there was church music. I also went to school, so there was school choir, things like that. So anywhere there was music, I was grabbing it. Eventually you start hearing the neighbor kids playing the Beatles records and, more pop rock style stuff. So I've always just been this sponge, but all my brothers play. So we grew up doing that, like a lot of families might bowl or play baseball or something. Mm-hmm. Our thing was to play music. And so that's just how I grew up. And then also my dad was a songwriter, but a closet songwriter. He was never like a published songwriter or anything like that. I would have no idea how to do such a thing as that. But nonetheless, I'd hear him, in the back room or something writing a song, or he'd share his songs. That was another part of him. He wasn't just hiding with it. Because songwriting can be just absolutely very private. It's just like, and that's how I started. I didn't want anyone to know my songs as a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. It was like a diary to me. It'd be like someone getting a hold of my diary and then like, look, and then now that I'm exposed. Mm-hmm. But that's actually how I did get found out that I wrote songs, is my brother found a lyric sheet thing and thought my dad had written it. And so he put a tune to it. I have a brother who, could put a tune to something like Right Now. Is just kind of what he did. And so he put a tune to my lyric, not knowing it was mine, and I could hear him in the other room singing it to my dad. And like, hey Dad, I put some music to your song. And he said I didn't write that, and I had to come out of the room and admit that I did. you know. So I didn't want to be found out, but I was also probably, I don't even know, 14 or 16 or something like that. So to me, I always took it to the private side of things, and that's to me, it's still the way it is. I mean, I can be certain kind of clever, or certain kind of rhyme scheme, or certain kind of guitar skills, or certain kind of melody, this, that, and the other. But it's really a private affair, the songwriting thing, and that kind of tell the truth, you know, in a song, and then now take that and expose it to others took a very long time. So I probably didn't start singing my own songs in public, till I was like 30 years old. And so through all my 20s, I'm writing, but I'm making a living being a player, but never really bringing that out as far as, you know, the songs, the real personal stuff. And then I just kind of had a breakthrough that was just like, you know, you've got to show this stuff. This stuff has to come through. And I kind of can't hide behind being a sideman over on the side of the stage anymore, making, you know, the front person sound great and singing harmony and whatever stuff. I knew that I kind of had to stand up to the songs, because the songs were bigger than I was, which can happen if you're writing in your closet. To me, the creative energy knows more than the human energy. When you're sitting in a room writing a song, there's a larger force going on. I can't explain what it is. I don't know that it's God or isn't, or it's, you know, the muse or isn't. I just know that there's a force that's stronger, that's higher than the pain that I might be in. And therefore, if you write a song that's there, and I'm here as a performer or a guy wanting to show myself to the world, I have the choice is either hide those songs and never represent them, or you have to rise up to face them. I didn't face that level of song in me until I was like almost 30 years old.
Wow.
And then it became like, I got to now. I just simply have to walk that direction. Sitting on the fender of someone else's truck, drinking Old Crow whiskey and hot 7-Up out in the parking lot. And you can hear the band playing right through the wall, and there ain't no cover charge, ain't no last call out in the parking lot. There's a couple of cowpokes putting up their dukes. Well, there really wasn't much to it. After both of them puked out in the parking lot. Then someone called the police, and the police finally came. They wrote out a couple of tickets, and they wrote down a couple of names out in the parking lot. I love to see the neon dancing on the gravel. Oh, I love to hear the pickup trucks come unraveled. And some have given up, some have given in. Looks like everybody's looking for a friend out in the parking lot. there's a couple who could not wait to get home. Well, they're probably in love, so let's just leave them alone out in the parking lot. And the band is on the bus, they're all loaded up to leave. And the drummer's got a girlfriend tugging on his sleeve out in the parking lot. I love to see the neon dancing on the gravel. Oh, I love to hear the pickup trucks come unraveled, and some have given up, some have given in. Sure looks like everybody's looking for a friend out in the parking lot. Well, the night is finally over. They've shot out all the lights, and the dust begins to settle. And it's never been so quiet out in the parking lot.
Were you terrified when you started doing that, or was it's time?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had taken such great care of myself to not expose it too quickly. That, like I said, I've been writing since I was 12, and if I found the first song that I thought had my writer's voice at age 28, and I was writing all that time, I was performing all that time, I was a sideman all that time, I was in bands all that time. Really from about age 14 in terms of getting paid to play music, be a player, I was very careful about bringing my stuff out. You know, it wouldn't be like, hey, I just wrote a new song, you want to hear it? No. It's got to be a very special, event in order for me to bring that out, because it'd be like, in a way, it was kind of like what I said when I was about 12 or 14 when my brother discovered that one song is like, that's my diary. So how open do you want to be about sharing your diary? And by age 30, it wasn't, I had come to the place where I'd go face the writing that was passing through me.
Seems like this is poetry to you, obviously.
Well, poetry, yeah, on some level. I mean, in college, I studied poetry. So when I went to college, I declared English as a major, and because I had to major in something, and it was a lot of reading, and it was very much a focus on poetry, both reading and creative writing of it. Words mean a lot, everything to me. Words. I mean, tune is in there too, and groove and arrangement, all sorts of stuff. But man, the song sure needs to say something to get my full attention.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen my babies laugh, I've heard them cry, and I've seen myself in their daddy brown eyes. I've held them to sleep and been sorely surprised by the measure of faith I was feeling. Oh, the broken spirit can get up and fly when love is the reason. And I've held to lovers to not be alone, and I've seen them leave to find love of their own, leaving a heart to sink like a stone, drowning between the floor and the ceiling, and four gray walls all counting me down, down. Hey, love is the reason. Yeah, I've seen the world through a blue smoky haze, and I've warmed by the fires of an alcohol blaze, burning up nights and burned out days. My time here on earth they were stealing. So go on, brass monkey, get back in your cage. So pack up the babies and let's load up the van and take all we have between a woman and a man. I'd live in a cave if you hold my hand, and we'll see what the darkness revealing, and we'll paint hieroglyphics and shout down the halls, oh love, love, love. Hey, love, 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 sweet love. Talking about love is the reason. Yeah, love is the reason.
So this is your first show out of isolation.
Yeah, this is absolutely since like the 20s of February.
Wow.
Of 2020.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's been going on the last few months with you? Like everyone's handling this a little bit differently.
Well, in our case, I have a farm between Nashville and Knoxville. Mm-hmm. And it's like hundreds of acres. It's more than a farm. It's a bunch of land. It's a bunch of forest. It's actually very little of it actually is farm, to tell you the truth. But it's just a giant piece of land, and we've been practicing, and not even knowing it, social distancing for years. Because when you get out on that land, there's nobody around. You know, we're a mile off of a gravel road, our driveway, and a bunch of animals from cows and pigs and goats and sheep and chickens. I have a farm manager, and so when I am on the road, things are being taken care of, like the food supply. I mean, we've had the best of food possible,
right?
Because we're growing food. That's what we do out there, among other things. So, that is a place to hang at a pandemic.
Sure,
because it's all sitting there, including the isolation, which is supposed to be part of the deal too. So in fact, it hasn't been that much of a disruption, except that I haven't had a gig since the 20s of February. And, I had a record release in April, and, festivals that you're supposed to go do and let folks know about the new record and all that. And all that just went, away, just like it has done for all players.
Right.
That's, or any gig economy folks. And so what we've done is built a couple of outbuildings, out there during this time. We have a sawmill, so we've been cutting lumber. We knock trees down and we make our own lumber, and so wow. Two sheds have been built, and we're now cutting for what's going to be my studio out at this same property. So we're not sitting still whatsoever. It's just we're not gigging. And this is the first gig since, so for 4 months or something like that.
Right.
Something like that. And what a great way to sort of ease back in, man, is this gathering with you guys. How many times have you heard someone say, "Well, if I had his money, I'd do things my own way"? But how little they know that it's so hard to find one rich man in 10 with a satisfied mind. Well, once I was waiting in fortune and fame, everything I'd ever hoped for to get a start in life's game. Well, then suddenly it happened. I lost every dime, but I'm richer by far with a satisfied mind. No money won't buy back your youth when you're old, or a friend when you're lonely, or a love that's grown cold. No, the wealthiest person is a pauper at times compared to the man with a satisfied mind. Oh, when my life is over and my time here's no more, and I'm there with my loved ones who have gone on before, one thing is for certain: when I've done my time, I'm gonna leave this old world with a satisfied mind. No money won't buy back your youth when you're old, or a friend when you're lonely, or a love that's grown cold. Oh, the wealthiest person is a pauper at times compared to the man with a satisfied mind. I was looking for a place to have as a retreat, just to like get away from the road, get out of Nashville. I was looking absolutely for a quiet place. I didn't know that quiet place would, in a few years turn to a farm with animals and things like that, and then a farm manager, but that seemed to be the logical steps that happened. It wasn't the grand plan. The grand plan was get in the gate, shut the gate, and stay in there until you have to go hit the road again, right, basically.
Did you become like jaded with Nashville, or was there just like, I need to get the hell away from everything type mentality? Is that kind of what drove you there?
Yeah, well, Nashville has changed.
Yeah.
like remarkably.
It has.
Right? I mean, that's almost an unrecognizable city.
It is.
If
I
you
agree.
saw it 10 years ago, it's very little that you even know how to get home.
Sure.
Roads and traffics, and that's without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's without a doubt. So as kind of Nashville kind of grew, we kind of, sidestepped it. I still have a place in Nashville, but also the industry changed along the way too. Songwriters aren't getting cuts that much anymore in that capacity. I'm not anyway. And a lot of my songwriter friends too, we're all in the same kind of boat of that. And so that was part of it too. It's just like, this Nashville is, and my kids are grown. They're, my daughter turns 30 this year, so I've got kids in mid-20s and to 30. And so, the kind of the reason to just hang around Nashville, if it was a music business reason, that kind of has gone away. Session world has gone away. The things I used to do, in Nashville, songwriting and session player and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of all gone away. Pretty much all I do is pretty much my own stuff anymore.
You seem like you're pretty happy though.
I'm happy at that, yeah. It was never like, sometimes when you explain to somebody about, oh, you make your living at music, it was, yeah. It's making money and making a living at music has never been the problem. It's making the kind of music you want to be playing for money. That became, the goal. And so, yeah, I did cross that barrier, I'd say about 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now when I do play on people's records or produce something or something, it's because I want to. I love what they're doing, and I'm glad to be a part of this, or, you know what I mean? It's not just a pure money call. I kind of only want to work on stuff that moves me, that I like, that I feel I can contribute to.
Yeah, pure songwriter versus, an infectious hook that someone's looking for, and that's it. But the substance is very surface.
Right, we have too many of those songs.
Too many of those songs.
You're like times 1,000, too many of those songs.
Yeah.
And so it's more than time for folks to tell the truth. Songwriters, if you can, to tell the truth and let the chips fall. Meaning like wherever it places you in on the ladder of success.
Well, man, I view that as realization and progression for you to understand that and say, I got to get the hell out of this situation and go and find your own, sanctity. Right?
That was part of the getting out to the land, definitely. And of course, who would have ever kind of considered like, oh, and by the way, there's a pandemic coming, and all, your entire year's gigs will go away, and all your friends' gigs will go away, and all that. So these are crazy ass times. We know this.
Sure.
All you gotta have to do is, breathe and open your eyes in the morning and look around. But it doesn't mean we can't get through it or aren't getting through it.
That's right.
And other things are kind of popping in, like answering the question, like, what would you do if you weren't doing gigs? And having to answer that. And so me and my musician friends, we're gonna have to figure that out on our own about that. And I tell you what, honestly, the land is a really good place to be considering those things.
That's cool.
At least I'm out there in the peace and quiet about it, and can sometimes tap into what that means when you take a walk and don't see anything but your dogs that are walking with you, and you know what I mean? That kind of quietude is what I'm up to. I walk a crooked road to get to where I'm going. To get to where I'm going, I must walk a crooked road. And only when I'm looking back, I see the straight and narrow. I see the straight and narrow when I walk a crooked road. I sing a lonesome song to anyone who'll listen. To anyone who'll listen, I will sing my lonesome song. And when I hear you singing too, the sorrow sounds hopeful. The sorrow sounds so hopeful when I sing my lonesome song. And a lonesome song will be my true companion when all else has abandoned for singing of their own. And a lonesome song will fill my days with gladness, make joy out of sadness when I sing there's a lonesome song to you. I love with all my heart, there is no way of stopping. See, I have no way of stopping, I just love with all my heart. Through the broken and the beautiful, the bad news and the good news. The bad news and the good news is I love with all my heart. And a loving heart will be my true companion when all else has abandoned for the loving of their own. And a loving heart will fill my days with gladness, make joy out of sadness when I show there's a loving heart to you. I long to be a happy man in this life that I am given. In this life that I am given, I long to be a happy man. And when the noise turns to stillness, I see I have the makings. I see I have the makings to be one happy man. And a happy man will be my true companion when all else has abandoned for happy of their own. And a happy man will fill my days with gladness, make joy out of sadness when I show this happy man. And a happy man will be my true companion when all else has abandoned for happy of their own. And a happy man will fill my days with gladness, make joy out of sadness when I show this happy man to you. Crooked road to get where I am going. To get where I am going, I must walk a crooked road. And only when I'm looking back, I see the straight and narrow. I see the straight and narrow when I walk a crooked road.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. That means a lot to me. When you let your songs be heard and seen, obviously you've had a lot of songs that have been recorded by other artists. And a lot of them are, there's some major hit songs that have been recorded by a lot of artists. And you've had a lot of opportunity to work with some, the songwriting credits are off the chart. I checked them out and it's just highly impressive. When you did that piece, obviously there's money, there's the business side of things. But there's also, that's very near and dear to you, that's your song. And I can tell that your songs are very personal to you. How did you feel when other people were recording your song?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the one clarification about those songs that did well, I wrote, they were on my records first. So they represented me.
Sure.
Those were songs that I was writing whether someone cut it who was famous or didn't. You know what I mean? And so then you take a song like that and then, somebody does run it up the flagpole, that's fantastic. Because then the reason I did it is intact, but then, maybe I can start a college fund for the kids. You know what I mean? Or maybe I get out of the junkie van that I'm driving around, and I have something that's more dependable, and on, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or I start putting out my own records. That's what I did with my songwriting money. I didn't, I didn't buy the giant whatever you're supposed to do when you get money and you've never had money before. I poured it right back into my records. So, and I'd hire whoever I wanted to hire. I've had some crazy, amazing musicians on my records. It's because I can afford I can call up, so and so, this and that, and you know what I mean. And maybe they dig it as well, for that matter. But I can also afford them. I've had crazy things like the Fisk Jubilee Singers on my records. Wow. I've had Alison Krauss on my records. Alison did it for nothing, but you know what I mean? I call whoever I dream up to be on something. I'll probably reach out and see if they'll want to come and do this.
And I can see why people answer the phone and why people like you. A lot of my musician friends, I figured this out pretty quickly. Everyone that I know that is an accomplished musician and a purist musician has a lot of respect for you. I've heard that over and over again. And the general fans are one thing, but when people that are in your craft and that respect you so much within that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, I think I'm always surprised and knocked out by that. Yeah. Like you showed me the clip of Sean, sitting here talking about me.
Right.
And he sits and sings part of a song of mine, and he remembers a conversation we had years ago, So yeah, that means a lot to me, because, we who do this, we know our eyes are open, our ears are open, our hearts are open. We kind of check out and like, who's throwing down, who's got it, who's telling the truth, you know what I mean? Yes. And I really appreciate that Sean, would say that, like Nashville with a tan, Sean.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, that guy. So thank you, Sean Mullins. I got rice cooking in the microwave. I got a 3-day beard I don't plan to shave. And it's a goofy thing, but I just gotta say, hey man, I'm doing alright. Yeah, I think I'll make me some homemade soup. I'm feeling pretty good, and that's the gospel truth. It's neither drink nor drug induced. No, I'm just doing alright. And it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. It's some hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be just this good? It's been 15 years since I left home and said good luck to every seed I'd sown. I gave it my best, then I left it alone. I hope they're doing alright. Now Redbird, what do you see? He says, I see a lone wolf looking at me. Head in the clouds, but harmless as a tree. Good God, I guess he's doing alright. And it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. It's some hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be just this good? Sometimes it's lonely, sometimes it's only me, and all of the shadows that fill this room. Sometimes I'm falling, desperately calling, and I'm howling at the moon. It's a colorful life that we go through. It's neither black or white, nor just shades of blue. Now maybe I'll grow me a Fu Manchu. Yeah, it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. There's some hard times in the neighborhood, but why? It's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. It's hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be just this good?
It is a great day to be alive, indeed. Taylor's getting some instruction. Oh my gosh. Here it goes. Oh, yeah. That's a winner all day in my book, brother. That's a winner. Good shot, dude. Give me a virtual high five there, bro. Good job. Well, your wife gave you a good lesson there. Without her, you never would have done that, I fear. Safety first.
I have no idea what I've turned into. I guess just a side man, a very angry side man.